Sarah sat across from me wearing a tinfoil hat. She'd put effort into it. Tinfoil sculpted neatly around her entire head, with a nice light bulb on the top. "Can you tell me why you wear that, Sarah?" I asked. Her eyes darted back and forth as if the government, or whatever entity she was afraid of, might hear her. "They'll listen to my thoughts," she finally whispered. "And then, I understand, but I can assure you, it's perfectly safe to remove the tinfoil, Sarah." "Really?" Poor girl, her lip was trembling, and her eyes were wide with fear. What made her so afraid of the government, or aliens, or whatever else she thinks is listening in on her thoughts? We'd already investigated her parents. There was no evidence of any sort of abuse. So why was this little 8-year-old girl so scared? "I know you think when you take off that hat that something will listen in on your thoughts, and then that would be a disaster, right? Because maybe the government or aliens, or whatever else is listening, will use that to their advantage. They'll stalk you or try to control your mind. But that won't happen, Sarah. But they'll kill me when they hear my thoughts. They'll come in the middle of the night and..." "Hush, none of that is going to happen, Sarah. You're okay." "No, I'm not," she said, tears brimming in her eyes. "I promise you are. There's nothing to be afraid of, okay? Nothing." I leaned forward and gave her a smile. "Can you try and take off the hat?" "No, I don't want to." "Please try, for me. I promise. Nothing bad will happen." She looked around, her face growing pale. "You promise?" "I promise. I'll even do the pinky thing." She finally broke into a smile. Our pinkies locked. Then, she slowly reached for the tinfoil. She shut her eyes tight. She yanked it off. I jumped back. My heart pounded in my chest. "Dr. Taylor, are you okay?" A ringing filled my ears. It gave way to whispers, talking all at once, overlapping and hissing. Some fell away, others intensified, until the words became clear. "Take the knife from the cabinet. Stab her in the eye with it. Now." The voice wasn't hers. It was low, deep, rasping. The kind of voice that scrapes at your mind, shredding your sanity. "Sarah?" I asked, but my voice sounded so small. And then I felt my body move. I clenched my muscles, tried to stop, but nothing happened. My feet shuffled forward towards the cabinet, towards the knife. Her eyes widened. She reached down and grabbed the tinfoil, pushed it back over her head. Immediately, the voices extinguished. A dull ringing throbbed in my ears. "I'm so sorry," she said, bursting into tears. "I didn't want you to hear it, Dr. Taylor. That's why I didn't want to take it off. That's why." "It's okay, Sarah," I said. "You're going to be okay, I promise." But I wasn't so sure that that was a promise I could keep, because now I knew. She doesn't wear the hat to keep something out. She wears it to keep that voice in. Have you ever seen a photo reCAPTCHA? Instead of a checkbox, it's a low-quality photo split into 16 square sections. It'll say something like, select all squares with street signs, and you have to click every square that contains a street sign at 11 p.m. on Sunday night. I got one while downloading free stock images. It was a photo of a path through the forest. Select all the squares with people. Okay, that was easy enough. In the center, there was a jogging woman in pink shorts. She took up a few of the middle squares, and I clicked them all. I pressed verify. It didn't work. Select all squares with people, the message said again. I took off my glasses, placed them on the table, and squinted at the image. No, she wasn't the only person. Several feet off the trail at the very edge of the image, I could see it. The edge of an arm clad in a black sweatshirt with a pink thumb poking out. I triumphantly clicked the 2 squares containing it. Verify. The image blinked as it refreshed. Then, the same text popped up, as if to taunt me. Select all squares with people. I rubbed my eyes and stared at the image. The trees cast low-resolution, blocky shadows across the path. The woman's ponytail swung to the left, mid-motion. Patches of yellow sunlight dappled the surrounding forest. I studied some of the darker shadows, far from the path, but none of them matched the silhouette of a person. I glanced to the edge of the image. No, the image had changed. The arm at the edge of the photo was now further in the frame, taking up 3 squares instead of 2. Bulky shoulders and dark jeans followed it, and the jogger was just slightly further down the path, as if she'd just taken a step. The touchpad was slick under my fingers. My heart pounded in my chest. Slowly, I dragged the cursor over the 3 squares and clicked them all. Verify. The image blinked. Select all squares with people. I leapt back from the computer. The image was different again. The man was further in frame, taking up 5 squares. His hand was stretched out towards the jogger, just inches from her shoulder. And the jogger, she was turned towards him, eyes wide, mouth open in a silent scream. Click, click, click. I furiously clicked all the squares. Verify. Loading. Select all squares with people. The man's face was finally in frame. The hood of his sweatshirt was pulled tightly over his head. A translucent Halloween mask poked out from underneath, pressed against his features. His hand was latched onto her arm. She was screaming. Click, click, click. Verify. The image disappeared. I'd passed the reCAPTCHA. I reported what I'd seen to the police. At first, they thought I was crazy, but as I gave a detailed description of the images, they frantically took notes and asked me questions. The woman matched the description of a local woman, Kaylee Johnson. She went missing a week ago during an afternoon jog on the wooded Lakewood Trail. She was never found.